on the password field itself, we're going to change the location property. We're going to hand in the randomized keyframes that we created above. We add the target to remove the red background and set it back to its original location at the end, and then we start the animation. That's the only code you're going to see today. I hope you appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I have code to show you, but I'm ashamed of it, so I won't show it. Where are we? Overlapping action and follow through. Actually, we already showed you the demo, you know, the button that was moving and it was stretching a little bit. That's exactly that applied to UI. Can you show it again?
Oh, this is the speeding button.
Yeah, the speeding button.
Right.
And we'll tell you what we mean by that. So here, when the button moves, when the button stops, can you click the accelerate? So when the button stops, you have the follow through of the top part of the button that keeps moving forward because it stopped really fast, and because the button for some reason is made of rubber, it keeps going a little bit. Again, it's actually a pretty cool effect that we never really see in UIs. Easy to implement, and I would love to see it a little more.
How many times do you want me to run it?
I think that's enough.
Okay.
We'll give you the demo, like send us email, we'll give you the demo so you can run it as many times as you want.
There's other examples of follow through and overlapping action. One of the examples, I'll show a demo later of Wii buttons where they actually interact with you in a way that they feel very alive. This is a combination of a little vibrating thing in the Wii remote, also the sound that they make, such a cute little sound, as well as the interaction of the button itself. It's sort of physically changing on the screen, and you get this feeling of, oh gee, this OK button is so fun to click on, I want to do that again. And then, oh, I think there's Linux wobbly windows.
Let's keep going, we don't have much time left.
Okay. But in other news, slow in and out. This is the idea of easing motion to give more realistic or more pleasing motion on the screen. Let's go into a demo again. Slow in and out. So we have a simple drawing UI. We can create some lines and circles on the screen, or we could just give up and just draw images directly. But what if I'm left-handed and I actually want the controls on the other side? They're always on the left-hand side, aren't they? So we can do that, but wouldn't it be nice if you could actually animate them there so that they didn't just blink into place and then you have to look for that image control that was so useful the last time. So we can create some motion to do that instead, so we can fade out the thing in the middle and then move the controls over. So that's pretty nice, but it's actually kind of choppy because, you know, the timing callbacks aren't always coming in at the same time. So we can make that motion a little bit smooth. More smooth by doing an easing motion where we're going to ease in all the way. It's basically going to start out slow and accelerate all the way over there. Or we can ease out. We can start out fast and then we can slow down as we lock into place. Or we can do an in-out where we actually speed up and then slow down at the bottom and it sort of locks into place. So demonstrations of different easing behavior. I'm not going to say one is correct because it actually depends a lot on your situation. When moving things around on the screen, I would say for the most part, ease in and out is actually a pretty good way to go because as humans, we actually accelerate into motion, then we decelerate when we're getting to the end of it. So that's kind of a realistic motion behavior. But there's other actions like clicking buttons where I would actually much rather see a fast, immediate action, potentially slowing down into place. So maybe an ease out action instead of easing in and out. So this is more an example of different kinds of behavior you could have, but it totally depends on your situation which one you should use. Moving on.
Arcs. Okay, we talked about it. What you want is nonlinear motions. So instead of moving on straight lines, just try to use curves. And we actually have a demo. That's the demo I'm ashamed of, at least the code. And apparently the JavaFX guys have a really cool API to let you do that easily in JavaFX or Java. So here we have an example of a button that moves, you know, on a straight line, goes from the bottom left to the top right. But it's actually a lot better when it moves all along the arc, and you can actually change the arc itself to change the motion. If for some reason you want the button to have like those really rough motions, you can. So that's the code that I would like to show you. If you really want it, send me an email. I'll send it to you.
Secondary action. This is the smaller animation that helps emphasize the main action going on the screen. One of the demos we've already seen, it was the dialogue popping up and the background frosting out. So the secondary action there was the frosting out. Not necessary, not the main action, but the idea that that actually happened, or the action of that other animation happening, helped emphasize the main action, which is pay attention to this dialogue, you idiot. So that was an example of that. We also had another one in here. which was the fading example. In this one, we proceed from one image to the next. Eventually. Hello. A little crossfade action on the images so we can see all the images in our stack. And you'll notice the text at the top is actually animating as well. It's not just blinking into place with the name of it, but there's a little subtle animation as we fade the text out and then back in. Okay, moving back to the slides.
So we talked about timing. Again, it's the idea of what is the speed of the animation that you're choosing, like what are you trying to convey? And we have a cool demo for that. So please can we switch to the second machine? Thank you. So here I have just a little drag and drop application where I can move this icon around, but when I drop it, it actually bounces back, because that's what objects do in real life. Here you can see that the icon drops pretty quickly, it rebounds pretty fast, so it's probably something very solid, very heavy. But you can change the animation effect. And if you modify the parameter, so here we have something that's even heavier and barely rebounds at all, you can also make something more flexible, more squishy, or make it lighter. So again, it's all about the timing. What is it that you're trying to convey? Do you want your icon to be a very solid, heavy object, or do you want it to be squishy and light? So obviously that's a made-up example, but every time you create an animation in your UI, try to think of what is exactly you want the user to see. Timing is very important. Take the time to get it right.
Back to PC, please. So back to the PC. Switch displays, please. There we go. Excellent. So one other quick demo. I was talking about this before, what timing is appropriate for your situation. Here I have buttons that give feedback that there's a little bit of pushing motion, kind of a very simple and silly one, but some idea that this is where you click. This is sort of a depression area in the button. You can see there's no animation. It's just on or off. Slow in. Gradually you get this sort of pushed in feeling there, slow in, out, kind of similar. Fast in, we launch into the gradient faster, and then linear is just constant motion down there. Normally I would say slow in and out is great, but you know what? When I click on a button, I want immediate feedback. I don't want to wait until it actually kicks in, right? So timing is very important for mapping to the appropriate situation, right? In this case, if you're clicking on a button, make the thing fast. So back to the slides. Exaggeration, make it obvious what's going on. You don't have that many elements on the screen for the user to understand.
Keep going.
What's going on?
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. My flight is.
Keep going, we have 5 minutes left.
All right. I see. Let's take a look at an example here. Oh, it's also important to not exaggerate too much. So we have a morphing demo, which is so this is an example that Romain wrote for the book, where when we hover over the button, we not only give feedback that something is going to happen, but we give direct feedback about exactly what's going to happen. If I click on this button, I'm going to go forward in the image stack. If I click on this one, we're going to go backward. A little morphing animation to draw the user's attention into an indication of what exactly is going to happen. Nice little exaggerated movement. We didn't need that. We could have changed the hover color of the button, or it had some other indication there, but we're sort of going one step further and exaggerating it to make it very obvious. Another example of going maybe a little too far is this 3D buttons example, where when I hover, I get a little bit of feedback that I'm hovering, and then pretty soon everything's just nutty in your animation. Right? Or we can make things move instead, have them pop out. Please don't do this in your UIs.
And finally, my favorite part, because I can be mean about other people's work here. So I'll show you an example of a bad UI. So I'm a bit ashamed that I'm doing that, because I received an email, I think on Monday.